The Joe Rogan Experience.
Joe, Marineland was my home. I was 12 years there. I still, to this day, I know, I can feel that place. It was my home. Those animals were my family. It just was. It's, you know, it's in life when you take for granted when something is taken from you that you otherwise have. You know, when I left that place, those animals are still on my mind. They have names, they have personalities, they have history with me. And these are some really powerful relationships that I had with the animals. But you introduce the likes of Smooshi suddenly, my walrus, and now I become a freaking mother to her. I mean, this is where things get really freaking weird.
Well, explain that to people that have never seen any of the earlier podcasts.
So I'll do a quick run up. In 2000, I don't even remember now at this point. 2012, I quit Marineland because the conditions were such that I didn't have much of a choice left. And so I did, but in doing so, I had to leave a walrus that had imprinted on me. She was a baby walrus that came into captivity from, wild caught from Russia. In fact, you saw the footage of the baby walruses. Is that awful? Guts me.
It's awful where they describe how they kill the mother to take away the baby.
That footage is...
It's scary shit.
In any event, so my having been there as long as I did and leaving, I haven't felt like I left. I felt like there was unfinished business there. I'm not leaving my walrus behind. I'm just not. And so... I'm very different. I'm a different person than what I was 8 years ago, Joe. When I was coming on here, I was a person who was desperate with a story to tell. 8 years later, people know who I am. They know what's happening. There's a film about me now. If there's ever been a time that I have a chance at saving this walrus, it is now or never.
How old is she now?
She would be 18. Okay, Joe, I got stories to tell about what she's become.
18.
I got stories to tell her what's happened to her. Okay. Let me just give you a quick update since the...
Well, explain the imprinting, how that worked. Because so people know how close you are to this walrus.
Absolutely.
Because the documentary is crazy. When you see that thing glued to you, it just won't leave your side.
She thinks of me every day. It's all she thinks about. This is where the tide changes for me with captivity, because I am now witness to the trauma of what's become of an animal that's been separated from its mother because I know it.
So explain to people who don't understand what that means. Like what happens with an animal when it imprints.
Happy to. So herd animals such as walruses that are otherwise in groups of thousands, when their calves are born, they need to imprint on the mother. So what happens is everything about them, every attribution, whether it be their smell, what they look like, the sound of their voice, everything tattoos on that animal's brain so that that baby is able to identify that mother within thousands. It's a scientific process that happens at birth. When Smooshi came to us at 2 years of age, we were doing a procedure on another walrus, and it caused her, she was in a heightened state of emotion and whatnot. She was climbing all the other trainers. She was being a problem. So I sought to pull her away from that situation. All I did was put my hands in front of her face, and she opened her nostrils big. And I knew in that moment something had happened, because now she was following me everywhere. And I couldn't have attributed that to anything that I'd ever done in all of my experience.
So just the act of getting close to her and putting your hands on her face?
I believe it was during that traumatic, whatever happened, her brain circuitry opened.
And she realized that you're the one who takes care of her.
I became her mom. And so days go by, and, I'm going back there, and she's barking for me, and I open the gate, she's following me, and, she wasn't healthy when we got her. So now I was spending my 8-hour to 12-hour shifts actually just sleeping. And Smooshi's laying on you see the footage in the documentary, she's just laying beside me. She would only eat from me. It became this crazy thing. And that's what became. I mean, and that's when the world started to change for me. I don't have children, Joe. I never did that. I mean, Frank, that's not an opportunity that would have been allotted to a person like me trying to fight multi-million-dollar lawsuits and everything else. I had to put a lot of things on hold in life, generally. My life is on hold in a lot of freaking ways because of what Marineland has done. I mean, you see they're sending the police to my house all the time. I mean, over tweets and shit. Like,
and they send the police to your house over tweets. Like, what do the police say when they show up?
Well, these days they leave with "fuck Marineland" stickers. They kind of love getting that call, but I don't think they want to be there. They don't really want to be there. But
why do they have to show up? Like, what are the tweets? What are you saying? Because Twitter will ban you if you threaten people. So you're not threatening anybody.
The tweet that I sent one of them was, "Life is short, steal a walrus." And they sent the police to my house because I had tweeted, "Life is short, steal a walrus." I tweeted it. I took a shower. I came back out. I saw the tweet had exploded. I said, "Oh, that's going to get some attention." And the next day the cops pull up. And I said, "You got to be fucking kidding me." So I light up the camera, the video. Of course, you got the video in the film. It's at the very end of the film. You see it. But here's what's become. On June 1st, a former employee of Marineland who had been fired inexplicably. She herself couldn't quite understand, although we sort of figured it out over some time. She came to me and she said she had things to tell me about Smooshi. And the one thing she said that struck me, she said she was pregnant. I said, that's an impossibility. 17-year-old walruses, it would be really grossly irresponsible to allow for that to happen. 2,
what's their lifespan?
well, in a wild, they may go 30, 35 years. At marineland, they don't last 8 to 10. Smooshi is the last one alive. But what marineland did is they negotiated a deal to have her transferred out on my birthday. Sounds crazy, but I have the documentation. I maybe shouldn't admit that, but I do. They had plans to ship her out on March 21, my birthday. It failed. It failed because of COVID. They tried 2 days later. I got a tweet from the CFIA, from an anonymous tweet from someone saying, your friends at the CFIA stopped an export to Germany, to a facility. I believe, and I don't want to absolutely attribute it to it, but I believe it's the Tierpark Zoo in Hamburg, Germany. I've done some research. They breed walruses. They know how to do it. This girl says to me, I think, like, they were treating Smooshi like she's pregnant. It's an impossibility. There wasn't a male walrus alive in the gestation period of a walrus's pregnancy. In fact, the math is such that the last male died at the same time as he would otherwise be getting Smooshi pregnant.
At marineland.
At marineland. Now, I worked there 12 years, and at the time we had like a lot of walruses. They never were successfully bred. In fact, walrus breeding is a very difficult thing in captivity. You need a range of very specific things. You need certain UV lighting. You need some fresh air. You need a number of things. It's a rare thing, and it's quite celebrated when it happens in captivity. I didn't believe her. I wouldn't believe her, but she kept telling me of things that she kept telling me that there were veterinarians from Germany that were there and that they were manipulating her, and it had happened over some time, and they were monitoring her. Now, when I put 2 and 2 together, okay, we've got an export to Germany that's supposed to happen in March, canceled on account of COVID. We've got a girl telling me now that there's German veterinarians that are manipulating Smooshi. I tweeted, I have something to the effect. I'm paraphrasing, but something to the effect of, I have on good reason to believe that Smooshi's been inseminated, like she's been made pregnant. And June 3rd, Marineland tweeted that Smooshi had given birth to a calf. There's not been a picture of Smooshi since over a year ago. On account of COVID, Smooshi was never taken out. The park operated, but obviously there was not a lot of numbers. But because of the rules of Bill S-203, which we had passed in Canada, which bans the captivity of whales, dolphins, and porpoises, it also limits their performance. They're not actually allowed to perform for entertainment no more. Much of the advertising is not allowed and whatnot. So when I read Marineland's press release of what they, of Smooshi's calf's birth, which I aptly named June, which was the month she was born and is also the name of of Marineland's veterinarian. They said they were monitoring Smooshi carefully, and that that giving birth is a risky thing. We've not seen a picture of her since. There's not been an iota of an update. In fact, at one point I tweeted, it's time for me to accept that Smooshi's probably dead. It had been months. And whereas Marineland used to respond to my tweets with an update of Smooshi, there was nothing. There was nothing. Now, I knew that there was efforts to have her shipped out and whatnot. So what happened was social media started getting flooded. Marineland's social media. People started saying, where the fuck is Smooshi? Not only supporters of mine, people that support Marineland. Marineland's response, and this was a national article in all of Canada. They completely ignored everything, all media requests, my lawyer's requests. We just want to know where Smooshi is. We want to know if she's still alive. They blocked everybody. They're blocking fans. They're blocking everybody. People started to call Marineland's lawyer. Marineland's lawyer, who has attributed himself as Marineland's spokesperson in public, was a pallbearer at John Holler's death, was now telling people, if you want answers about Marineland, call Marineland. He is Marineland. He's the one that does the answers. Where the fuck is Smooshi? That's where I am at today. I don't know with absolute certainty that she's alive, but I should mention that I have been told by a lot of people that she is. I have reason to believe that she is. I don't absolutely know.
Like, how does someone know that? Who is it? Someone who works there?
So because the people that work there. So what I should mention is that girl who had told me this information that got fired inexplicably. It turned out, because she was like a junior trainer, she was inadvertently in a meeting where they had gone over the details of the German vets coming in and whatnot. And one of the trainers were actually trying to stop Marineland's lawyer from revealing too much because that girl shouldn't have been there. and a week later she was fired. She doesn't understand what the hell happened. I don't know that that's exactly the story because this is what she says to me. Now, you imagine former employees come to me with stories, and I typically tell people, if you're a former employee, you're not really good to me anymore. I mean, if you didn't have the gumption to do something while you're an employee, don't come to me now because I don't know that you haven't been fired because you're a dickhead. I don't know your backstory. I don't know that I'm able to trust your information. But hers came, and I did do the tweet, and it wound up being absolutely true.
Catch new episodes of the Joe Rogan Experience for free only on Spotify. Watch back catalog JRE videos on Spotify, including clips. Easily, seamlessly switch between video and audio experience. On Spotify, you can listen to the JRE in the background while using other apps and can download episodes to save on data cost, all for free. Spotify is absolutely free. You don't have to have a premium account to watch new JRE episodes. You just need to search for the JRE on your Spotify app. Go to Spotify now to get this full episode of the Joe Rogan Experience.